Now, just on my right there in the bush a little way is a small town named Cadell. It was back in 1952 that the South Australian Government and the Morgan Council joined forces to make a correctional centre for prison reform. Now, apparently what I've read is everybody's very happy with the program. They've had a lot of success and everyone's very proud of what they've accomplished. The whole centre has river frontage of about 424 hectares, so it's quite a big place. But like I said, everyone that has anything to do with it is very proud of what they do there. Well, that'd certainly be easy with someone to help me. However, we're just going to go up in the bank here, over a bit of a hill, and I'll show you something just in there a bit. Now, there was a sheep and cattle station around this area somewhere that was 1,250 square miles in size. And the incredible thing about that is that the man that owned the property, that leased it off the government, paid only 25 cents per square mile for it. But well before that, the Aboriginals roamed throughout this land, and they gathered, ate, and lived without too much trouble at all. But sooner or later, the white men arrived, and with that came bigger and better ideas. Or so they thought. So the idea was that back in the last decade of the 19th century, when the Depression was on, the government sent out people all throughout this land to help establish new settlements. And they were given things like food, tools, and a horse to get themselves started. Now, some people survived out here living in tents on the riverbank, but sadly, some did not. For you see, for so many people, when they arrived here, their dreams and hopes and illusions were instantly shattered, for there's nothing but dry, hard, stony dirt. Now, some people survived and they lasted their time out here, putting up with the bugs, the bull ants and the flies, and the mosquitoes, but some did not. For some, thought their only way out of this whole place, this whole area, was by committing suicide. Now we're at Overland Corner here, and just about 10 minutes walk from this spot is the Overland Hotel. Now that's historically listed. When we get up there, I'll tell you a very interesting story about it.
Now, Overland Hotel is located at Overland Corner, and it's a place that has a very interesting history to it. You see, one of the visitors to this hotel, that now has been lovingly restored, was one of Australia's most famous bushrangers, Captain Moonlight. Now, Captain Moonlight was an Irish-born child who was born with the name of George Scott, but he also went under the names of Preacher Scott, or as I said, Captain Moonlight. Now, the name Preacher Scott was given to him simply because Captain Moonlight was a lay preacher in a small town just east of here in Victoria. But in his spare time, the preacher would turn his hand to bank robbing. Now, in 1878, Captain Moonlight stopped at the Overland Hotel here, whilst he was running from the New South Wales and the Victorian Police. And when he entered the bar of the hotel, he demanded that they keep both the front and the rear doors left wide open, so that he could make a fast getaway if the police arrived. And apparently, word had got around before this time that Captain Moonlight was a very dangerous man, and in some ways mentally unstable. And it was because of this that nobody argued with him about the doors being left open. So it was right here, at this very hotel at Overland Corner in New South Wales, in a hotel with an average wall thickness of 1.5 metres. The Captain Moonlight sat and drank, with both the front and the back doors wedged wide open and ready for him, just in case the need arose for a fast getaway. And to make things even more exciting, apparently he didn't even get off his horse. He would just ride right on in and up to the bar, and then order his drink, horse and all. And then one day when he was asked why he didn't leave his horse outside, he just snarled and said, "It never hurts to be prepared."
Well, it's first thing in the morning on day 7 at the moment. We're here in a place called Devlin's Pound. Now, this area got its name after a huge Irishman that used to run a shanty pub in this area named Patrick Devlin. But he became famous not so much because of his alcohol, but more of his extracurricular activities. You see, what he did, he would work hand in hand with the cattle rustlers, and he'd liquor up all the stockmen and keep them busy, while the cattle rustlers then took their pick and took their choice of the best stock in the herds. Now, eventually people caught on with this, and one night Devlin went missing. And then a few months after that, people started to see sightings in the trees of this huge Irishman, which is the same as what Devlin was. And what was unmistakable was this huge silhouette of a beard, and Devlin was the only person in the whole area who looked like this. So then more weeks went by, more months and more years, and apparently from time to time people would see this silhouette in the trees, and they would also, on still nights, they would hear a scream coming from the paddock, and if the stockmen were in the area and they could go and check on their herds, they would see a huge silhouette of a man on a big white horse screaming and running through the paddocks, stirring up all the mobs of cattle and sheep. Now, in about the 1920s, an anthropologist from Adelaide was in this area looking for Aboriginal remains, and he dug up an unmarked coffin, and in it was the huge remains of a man. And the only part that was recognisable in this coffin was the hair of this man's beard, which was red. So they think that it might have been Devlin. And when they studied a little closer, there was one single bullet hole in the man's skull, so it's obviously been murdered. But still, that's the story of Devlin. I'm not sure who was in the grave, who was in the coffin, but certainly there's many reports of a huge man with a silhouette of a beard standing in the trees, looking over campfires. And even now still, people can hear screams coming from the paddocks, and the cattle and sheep have been spooked. So I'm not sure who it is or who it was, but Devlin's certainly still in this area somewhere. Now, just behind me here, when the boat swings around a little bit, you should be able to see a small creek, and that's called Chambers Creek. Now, I was hoping today to go up there about 10 kilometres in the trailcraft, but unfortunately there's just not enough water, so I can't travel up there at all. There's not even enough water for the small Quicksilver inflatable. But if I had have managed to get up there, we would have found a huge lake called Lake Bonnie. And the water surface area of that's about 5 miles by 3.5, so it's a huge big area. Now, that was first discovered back in 1838 by Charles Bonny, and he was the first overlander to track with stock from Sydney to Adelaide, and that's a distance of about 1,600 kilometres, so it's a huge effort, and he was very lucky and very thankful to find Lake Bonnie when he did, for apparently his stock hadn't had water for about a week and a half at that stage. But now it's enjoyed all year round by people water skiing, boating and fishing, so it's a very popular place for tourists. Now, back in the 1860s, a Mr. Donald Campbell, he attempted to break the world speed record there on water in his jet-powered boat called the Bluebird. Now, to do that, he had to get up to speeds of 260 miles an hour, which is incredibly quick. But unfortunately, because of bad weather conditions, he never broke the record. But still today, Lake Bonnie there, it's a beautiful spot to visit apparently, but just unfortunately, there's not enough water for us to get up there, so I can show you at home. But if you're in the area, definitely check it out, because it's a great spot. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, that way you'll get notified to all my new videos when I upload them. And if you want to contact me, you can do so through my website, the link's in the description below. See you next time.